Hello? If you do the Torah, Yahweh will impute righteousness to you. Is that what it says?
That's what it says.
That's what it says. How so? But look at verse 5. But the man who does those things shall live by them.
Yeah.
Meaning, if we're going to talk Torah, we must live. If we want the tzedakah that the Torah promises, we have to live by them. By what? Who's them? In context. By Moshe's words. By palabras de Moisés. We've got to live by his word.
Yeah.
If we want his righteousness and the righteousness of them, we've got to live by them in context. What is the them talking about? The words of Moshe Rabbeinu. Baruch Hashem Yahweh.
Yes.
But the tzedakah that is of emunah, faith, speaks in this manner. So it looks like Rav Shul was comparing the faith of Torah and the faith of Yeshua, the righteousness of Torah versus the righteousness of Yeshua, but he's not. Let's continue. Say not, but it's the tzedakah that speaks of emunah or faith speaks in this manner. Say, now see if this sounds familiar. Say not in your lave, who shall ascend into the Shamayim. Does that sound familiar? Do not say in your lave, heart, who shall ascend into them?
Heavens.
That is, bring HaMoshiach down from above. Or the faith that speaks by true biblical faith does not say, or who shall descend into the deep?
The sea.
Sheol, Dio. What is another way to say deep? The sea.
Yeah.
The sea. Didn't we just read about that in Devarim 30?
Yeah.
Meaning, if you want to be a born again redneck from Pensacola, you're gonna have to follow the Torah. That's what it says, because that's what it says. What do I mean? Look at this again. Or do not say the faith in Mashiach, or the life of faith doesn't say who's going to bring Mashiach down from heaven, from the Shemayim, or bring HaMashiach up from the deep. What's the deep?
The sea.
The sea.
The nations.
The nations, religions, legends, myths.
Yeah.
In other words, if you're going to live for Yeshua, you're not going to find the answer in the deep.
No.
If you're going to live for Yeshua, you're going to have to get out of a lot of deep, you know what. But you ain't going to find him staying in that deep stuff.
No.
You're going to have to come out of the deep. Turn to your neighbor and say, we've come out of the deep.
We come out of that deep.
And we are forbidden to cross over through the deep to find our new answers in our believing life. Now that we know the truth, we can never cross over the deep or stay in the deep or go across the deep. We've got to stay out of the deep.
Come on.
Make sense? Watch this. The emunah that speaks of faith speaks this way. It doesn't say who shall go to the Shemayim and bring Mashiach down. Nor does the faith that we preach, Rav Shaul, New Covenant, New Testament, call it New Testament if you must. I wish you wouldn't. That Christian kind of faith, the true Christian kind of faith, what should it be saying? What should the true faith be saying? It should be saying this, that we will not bring Moshiach from above, neither will we bring Moshiach from the deep or Sheol, or neither can we find Yeshua in the pagan traditions and vanity and myths and legends and urban legends of our forefathers, because you can't bring Moshiach down from that stuff. He's not in that stuff.
Right, Lord.
I'm going to get this thing.
Yeah.
He's not in that stuff.
No.
You know why you never found him there? Because he refuses to stay in there.
Yes.
Or be in there. Neither should you say, who's going to go up for us? Is we going to get Brian Samter, the Chazan, to bring Yeshua down? No.
Yep.
Because Yeshua is the living Torah.
Right.
So no man can bring him down, meaning get something to contradict the eternal Torah. That means the only way to renew the covenant is through Yahweh's eternal word. Neither can we find anybody who is messing around with the deep to bring Yeshua up again from the deep.
Yeah.
Because Yeshua does not approve of those deep things that we call fleshly trips. They call them deep things, which like cackling hens and barking dogs.
Yes.
That's the deep things, brother. We got to bring Mashiach up. Yeah, Yahweh, Rashi says the emunah that is of faith, the true faith doesn't speak, bring Yeshua down, bring Yeshua up. Why? Because if you can bring Yeshua down and he can give something that's not in the Torah, or if you can bring Yeshua up and show where he changed the Sabbath, changed the feasts, changed tzitzit, changed the chukim, changed the mishpatim, then all of a sudden we got a problem, because Yeshua is the Torah alive. Yeshua is the living Torah. And if you can't bring the written Torah from the deep, and you can't bring the written Torah from heaven, then neither can you with Yeshua, because he is the Torah.
Amen.
Where's he at?
So Rashi was saying, that's the faith we preach.
Yeah.
We don't preach, we're not a cult.
No.
We're not a weird sect.
That's right.
We're not a group of contrarians that we just enjoy being different. We enjoy being laughed at. We enjoy being ridiculed. We have this, we're not masochists. We enjoy going into a diner and have people laughing at us because they see ropes hanging from our shorts. Brother, did you know your shorts are shredding? So what's the answer? Brother, don't give me your deep stuff, all right? I don't receive, put that back in the deep. I'm going to wear ropes because Yeshua wore ropes. What do you mean? The woman said, that had an issue of blood for 12 years, said, if I can just touch the hem of his garment, I'll be made whole.
What do you think that means?
Where did you get that from? Malachi 4, 1 and 2. To those who fear my name, not who love the Lord, go, to those who fear my name, shall the Son of Righteousness rise with healing in his wings. That's what those ropes are. That's what the tzitzit are. They are the wings of the garment, the hem of the garment. Those are the four corners, or the wings. The Hebrew word is kenafot, wing. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. So that system wants to turn human beings into chickens that have wings. The Torah wants to teach the children of Yahweh how to reach for the real wings. The wings of the knafot, the tzitziot. You see the substitute? We're taking human beings and teaching them how to reach for wings and fly like a chicken and talk like a chicken. Oh my goodness, I can't even talk English, let alone talk like a chicken. And that's what happens. How does this happen, Rabbi? I need answers. How can we have this denomination doing this, that denomination doing that, that group doing this group doing that? Because they have forsaken the fountain of living water. That's right. Rashi says, understand one thing, get this through your head today, right here. The emunah that we preach, Baruch Hashem Yahweh.
Yes.
I'm talking about covenant renewal. The emunah that we preach is the emunah of Yeshua, and to prove to you that Yeshua did not bring a new emunah, but came to renew the emunah of Moshe, it is spoken of Yeshua exactly what is spoken in Torah. The same way you cannot bring Torah up from the deep of the nations, you won't find Torah in the Gentiles. You won't find Torah among the pagans. You won't find Torah among the Goyim. Neither will you find Yeshua. You will find Jesus, but not the real dude who lived. That is the world's worst and greatest deception, or I call it the great makeover. Oprah Winfrey didn't invent makeovers, and Maury Povich didn't invent the makeover. S period, A period, 10. Invented the great makeover. He took a Jewish rabbi who came to internalize the Father's Torah and turned it into something coming out of the deep. And if you read Gilead chapter 13, we well know what comes out of the deep.
That's right.
The dragon and the beast and the Navi Sheker. The unholy three manifestations of Satan. The dragon.
Right. The witness.
The anti-Moshiach. And the Navi Sheker. The false prophet, all come out of the depths of the water, a type of error and death. So Rav Shaul is saying, listen, for all you renewed covenant believers, I want you to understand this, that what is prohibited regarding Torah is prohibited regarding Yeshua. This is the faith that we preach. Let's continue. Well, who shall ascend into the deep? Verse 7. Romans 10:7. That is, bring up Mashiach again from the dead. You'll find him in an empty grave. But what does Torah actually say? Time out. Torah? Didn't anybody bother telling Rav Shaul that he was the apostle to the Gentiles? What's he doing talking about Torah?
Yeah.
Hello?
Especially Rome.
I said hello.
Yeah.
Buenos dias.
Yeah.
Didn't anybody take the time to tell him he's not supposed to talk about Torah? He's the apostle to the Gentiles? Didn't anybody bother telling him?
Yeah.
Unless we've been lied to. Unless he says that the word that Yeshua preached and that Yeshua is the Torah, meaning the faith we teach and the faith we preach and the faith we believe. What does the Torah actually say about our faith? Are you getting this connection?
Come on. Come on.
He's saying the faith that I'm talking about Yeshua who died and then after 3 days rose again, what does the Torah actually say about that faith? You getting it? That faith is mentioned in the Torah.
Ask a Pharisee.
Hello? Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Here is the Torah. This is what the Torah says. Listen. The word is near you, even in your mouth and even in your lave. That is the word of Emunah which we proclaim. What's another way of saying that? We proclaim the Torah.
Amen. What scripture?
He's saying, if you're going to serve Yahweh and receive revelation and knowledge from Yahweh, progressive and selective revelation, you're not going to do it by pulling Yeshua down again in heaven, because as far as you're concerned, he's not in heaven.
Yeah. Come on.
Haven't you read Yochanan chapter 16, where Yeshua is indwelling in your heart by the resident Ruach HaKodesh?
Amen.
Yeshua's, as far as you're concerned, Yeshua is not in heaven anymore.
That's right.
He's in your heart.
That's right.
Don't you know that you are the temple of the Ruach HaKodesh?
Come on.
Hallelujah. And if any man defile the temple of Yahweh, him Yahweh will destroy. Don't you know that? So Rav Shaul, the apostle to the Gentiles, says, here's the faith that we preach.
Yeah.
The faith that we preach is in the Torah, and if you know what the Torah says in Deuteronomy Devarim 30, you'll know what faith in Yeshua is all about. Whoa, baby. So in other words, in order to have the faith in Yeshua that he wants me to have, I've got to understand what Devarim 30 says, which means that if you want covenant life and covenant renewal, you're going to have to find it in the Torah, because Rav Shaul says the faith that doesn't try to pull new things down that contradict Torah or go overseas to the Gentiles and the legends and the myths of religion in this age, he says that's the faith we preach. The faith we preach, Yeshua, Messianic, Nazarene faith, is a faith that doesn't borrow from the Gentiles. It refuses to go overseas.
That's right.
It goes back to Sinai.
Yeah.
And it's the faith that refuses to look for prophetic PPMI, PP by D, PPCC, PP cuckoo. I don't care what the initials are on the door, honey. Run from that like you run from a rattlesnake. Well, brother, I just want you to know I have registered for the school of the prophets. I am a new student in the school of the prophets. Really? Just find out who's doing the teaching, because the faith of Yeshua will teach you not to look for fresh words that contradict the Torah. It will not teach you to have this kind of speech. Well, you know, there's some good Catholics and there's some bad ones. Well, you know, there's some fresh words in the believing community, and there's some not so fresh words. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil. That's not the faith of Yeshua. The faith of Yeshua says, I'll stay away from the sea of the nations. I'll stay away from trying to get anything from Yahweh that hasn't been written previously and renewed through the renewed covenant. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Is that where you are today? Are you refusing? Are you refusing to find your faith and cross over the sea of the nations? Are you refusing to look for words coming from heaven, voices, emotions? Hold a second. I feel something. What do you feel? I don't know, but I'm getting bumps that goose and goose that bumps. So let me understand this. You know something is from heaven because you're getting bumps at goose, right? And then that other guy he's barking like a dog, and his wife is hackling like a chicken.
Right.
Oh, I'm getting this now. And Raphael says, "Time out, soldier. Time out, child of Yahweh." That's not the Yeshua we preach. We don't preach that Yeshua. We preach a Yeshua who gets nothing from heaven, because the Torah is not in heaven. And if the Torah is not in heaven, you better not go trying to find something additional that's in heaven that you think Yahweh's holding back on you.
Come on.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my, are we doing some operations today?
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Open heart surgery.
Hallelujah.
Baruch Hashem Yahweh. So look at Romans 10. But what does the Torah actually say? Romans 10:8. The word is near you, even in your mouth, in your land. This is the word we proclaim. Meaning the word that we proclaim is what the Torah actually says. Meaning I haven't come to contradict the Torah, guys, as the apostle to the Goyim. I've come to explain to you, like Yeshua came to explain to you, that the word of Emunah never contradicts the written Torah.
Come on.
I'll say that again.
Yeah.
The word of Emunah never contradicts the written Torah.
That's right.
Is that the faith we proclaim? It ought to be.
That's the faith.
It ought to be. That is the faith we proclaim. It ought to be. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. And here's Romans 10:9 and 10. If you confess with your mouth the Master Yahshua and believe in your land that Yahweh has raised him from the dead, you shall be saved. I'll say that again. If you confess with your mouth the Master Yahshua and shall believe in your land that Yahweh has raised him from the dead, you shall be saved. You missed that. If he were dead, he'd be where? In the depths of the sea. He'd be in the depths of the grave, would he not? But the same way Yeshua and his Torah are no longer found for you and I in heaven, he's also not found in the grave, is he? He's not found in the pit, is he? He's risen from the grave, hasn't he? Why has he risen from the grave? Because we can't find words from a dead person. Neither can we find words from heaven. We have got to get our words from what is written, because Yeshua is the epitome and the personification of what is written. Make sense? And Rav Shmuel says, that is the word of faith that we preach. It's not a different faith. It's not a different message. That's the meaning of the Torah. That's the meaning of covenant renewal. That Yeshua will only give you what Yahweh has given you, but he will allow you to renew it. How? By taking it away from things in heaven that contradict the word, things in the depths of the ocean, or things that are dead, Yeshua's grave, and he'll give you life by renewing the faith of Torah. Does that make sense? How is Yeshua going to renew the covenant with us? He's going to renew it by giving us the faith as it was originally given, once for all, delivered to the Kiddushim.
Hallelujah. Amen.
That's how he's going to renew the covenant. He's going to deliver to you the same faith that he once for all delivered to the Kiddushim.
Amen.
Make sense?
Yes.
Baruch Hashem Yahweh. That's the introduction to today's message. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Todah Rabbi Yahweh. Let me read this to you. Since the Torah abides with us on earth, there's no need to pull Yeshua, the living Torah, down from heaven again, or up from Sheol, the grave. Since the Torah and the Spirit to perform Torah remain in us, his temple. We as believers should not look to spiritual things and written things outside the earth or the Word, but on the earth, for that is where we find Yeshua in our hearts and in our temples. According to Romans chapter 10, verse 8, listen, the faith of Yeshua, or in Yeshua, is the same faith as recorded in the Torah. Isn't that what we've just been reading? We renew our covenant with him in our hearts and in our mouth. That's what it means to confess Yeshua. When it says, have you confessed Yeshua for salvation? Have you renewed the covenant of our fathers afresh by internalization, not by replacement of covenant, not by replacing the first covenant with the second covenant, but by internalizing the covenant. That's what it means if you confess with your mouth and believe in your heart.
Yes.
It means take what's recorded on earth and internalize it for salvation.
That's right.
Hello?
Come on.
Don't try to pull Yeshua down again. Don't try to go into the earth and try to come up with something in your past, dead in the sea of nations and religion. He says, it's near to you, it's in your heart, it's in your mouth. That is the word of faith that we preach. What does it mean to ask Yeshua to renew us and to be our Savior?
Yeah.
What does it mean? It means to internalize what was previously what? External. I'll say that again. To internalize what was previously external. Baruch Hashem Yahweh.
Amen.
We renew the covenant on Yom Teruah by having him in our hearts and our mouth. He is our guidance manual on earth for our hearts and our mouths. As we walk in this manner, we will soon discover, listen, that the written and living Torah never contradict each other. I'll say that again. The written and the living Torah never contradict each other. Make sense? Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Thus, the revelations that are given to us cannot by definition be new. I'll say it again. The revelations that are given to us cannot by definition be new. They must be renewed. Hello?
Renewed.
They must be renewed. If we are receiving something in our spirit, trust it was already renewed or given to somebody else. In the written Torah, as the living Torah affirms the written Torah.
Or made confirms.
And it's given to us as fresh, but it's already recorded and it's already being shared with others in the body of Yeshua.
Amen.
Make sense?
Amen.
Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Thus, our revelation will not come from heaven, will not come from the sea of error and pagan religion. Neither will it come from the grave. Boy, that'll preach. Which according to Romans 10, 8 through 10 is empty. What was Rav Shaul saying? What does the empty grave symbolize? Not just the resurrection of Yahshua, but that the Torah can become alive to us because we're no longer getting our guidance and our revelation from the dead things of humanity and religion. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. I said Baruch Hashem Yahweh. I'm enjoying this.
Yes, come on.
It is not in the heavens. You will not find Torah in those. Now I'll tell you what else that means. How many ready to go on the sod?
Let's go deep.
What else does it mean? Do not say in your heart who will go down and bring this Torah down from the Shamayim. Do not say in your heart who's going to go over the seas and bring it to us. Do not say who's going to go to the empty grave, Sheol, and bring it up for us. This is the word of faith we preach. What word? The word given to Israel. That's the word of faith we preach. That's what Rav Shaul says. It's not a different message. It's not a different faith. It's the word of faith that we preach. But what also this can mean, do not say who will go up. Now listen carefully as we start winding down. Don't get too excited. What does it mean? What does it mean that Yahweh will not allow anyone to go up to heaven to bring Torah down from heaven? I think we just covered that, but I want to take you to a different perspective. It means that those who are proud and haughty, those who raise their thoughts above others, those religious leaders who are religious leaders by vocation and not by calling from Yahweh.
Amen.
Look out.
Religious leaders who are leaders by vocation because their father was, their grandfather was, their great-grandfather was, and they were born into it.
Reverend Doctor the third.
It's kind of like the neighbor who says, you ask your neighbor how long you've been saved. Oh, since I was born. Really? The word of Yahweh says that in sin did your mother conceive you, and in sin were you shapen in iniquity in the womb. And you've been saved since you were in the mother's womb? I don't think so. So if someone tells you, I've just grown up with it, say, well, let's pray the sinner's prayer, because you don't just grow up with it. At some point, you must be born again.
Amen.
So if someone tells you, well, if you say how long you've been a believer, oh yeah, I'm a believer. Well, how long have you been saved? Since I was born. What they're really saying to you is, help me, I'm not saved. You're not born being saved. You must be born again to be saved.
Amen.
Come on.
Baruch Hashem Yahweh. So it means that those religious leaders who are relying on learned traditions and learned understanding, and they're too proud or haughty to think that all we need is this. They're climbing through their own pride or haughtiness for fresh things, and Yahweh says you will not find the Torah with that attitude. Notice, in Scripture the Torah is compared to, listen, water. I'll say that again. Water is symbolic of the Ruach HaKodesh. More than that, water is symbolic of the Torah. Hello? So the Torah is symbolized by water, and water also symbolizes the Ruach HaKodesh. Now water, as we all know, the Torah being compared to water, water flows in which direction?
Always south or down.
Which direction does water flow?
Down.
Does your water in the sink flow up?
No.
You must have a different sink than I do.
Gravity.
If you have a sink like I do, the water in the shower, whatever, rain, always flows down. It first flows to the lowest elevation, the lowest level, and when it finds the lowest point, it begins to produce light. It's not in the latest prophet. It's not in the latest revival. It's not in the latest doctrine. It's not in getting a fresh word or a new understanding. No, 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 no. It's going back to find the faith, the emunah, once for all delivered to the saints.
Amen.
Are you willing to go back? Because if you are, unlike those religious leaders who can't learn because they're good this, or they're good Protestants, or they're good Catholics, and they can't learn anything because they're saved, and if they're saved, they don't think they have to understand anything else. Because Yahweh has chosen the things that are not to confuse those things that are, and He's chosen the confused, the downcast of this age to confound the wise.
Yes.
Because Torah came down to our fathers. Yeshua came down to our fathers.
Hallelujah.
And Yeshua and Torah are both symbolized in the Ruach HaKodesh by what? By water. Where does the Ruach HaKodesh live?
In our heart.
You missed that. Where does the Ruach HaKodesh dwell? Where does it live?
In our hearts.
In the earth. From dust thou art,
Yes, no.
to dust shalt thou return. So the water finds its greatest renewal at the lowest rung of what appears to be man's lowest rung, but in fact is the source of life, which is the lowest point, the ground. Meaning, those who try to circumvent the Torah in their walk with Yahweh are found to be boastful, arrogant, and proudful, trying to pull down revelation that Yahweh says isn't coming, because there's a vacuum in heaven of Torah and the Lamb, because the Lamb is in you and the Torah is in you, because the Lamb and the Torah in their essence are one and the same.
Yeah.
Amen.
Lamb and one and the same. Written and living.
So we got all kind of folks looking for all kind of new, exciting things. When Yahweh says, time out, Israel, it's in you. Where? Now Yahweh answers the question, where? Where inside of us? In our heart and in our mouth. That's what Yeshua said, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. If Torah is in your mouth, in your heart, that's what your mouth will speak.
That's right.
You can't separate. That's what Christianity does. It tries to separate the written word from the living word, and that's where they fall into a ditch. And if the blind lead the blind, both will fall into a ditch.
Come on.
Spiritually blind. Baruch Hashem Yahweh.
Amen.
I said Baruch Hashem Yahweh. So for this reason, the renewal of covenant is compared to water that goes down to where you are. Listen to me, or I won't close. Goes down to where you are, not where you think you ought to be, in a monastery, in a monk, in some kind of spacesuit with change in your pocket, waiting for the spaceship to come, with Marshall Applegate or Haley's Comet. The Torah is a real instrument to keep you walking with Yahweh, for real Israel that love Him and that are called according to His purpose. Hello?
Yeah.
Where are you going to receive the truth of Torah? When it flows down into your earth, and you don't think that you're haughty and special, that you have to send yourself or others to pull things down that are contradicting to the emunah of Yeshua. For the emunah of Yeshua is what the Torah says. Isn't that what Rav Shaul said? Isn't that what Paul said? That the emunah of Yeshua is nothing but what the Torah said.
Yeah.
So if we are going to look for words that are not based and grounded in Torah, Yahweh says, not only are you in error in the sea of the nations, trying to look for life in a pit, don't you know Yeshua is not in a pit? Don't you know the Torah is not buried in a pit? Don't you know it's not in the sea of false religion? Don't you know it's not in heaven? I made it so real to you, it should be in your heart, and it should be in your mouth.
Yes.
And Rav Shaul says, that's the word of renewal.
Yes.
I said, that's the word of renewal.
Yes. That.
Baruch Hashem Yahweh.
Oh, Baruch Hashem Yahweh.
Turn with me, please, to Yirmiyahu 31:31. Is anyone enjoying?
Come on.
Yes.
I'll try that again. Is anyone enjoying?
Yes.
Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Look at Yirmiyahu 31. Verse 34. Here it is. The renewed covenant. The promise of the renewed covenant. Yirmiyahu 31:34. There's the promise of the renewed covenant given to both houses of Israel. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know Yahweh. For they shall all, circle those words, they will, that's the word of faith we preach. We all know Yahweh. If you know the Torah, you know Yahweh. Christianity says, no, you're under the law and you don't know Yahweh. Rav Shaul in Romans chapter 10 says, no, when you know the Torah, you know Yeshua, because Yeshua would not do anything to contradict the Torah. So really know Yeshua is to know the Torah. What a radical concept. What a radical concept. That's why people don't